comply with requirements for signage, packaging, labeling, and chain of custody of products. 8, ability to comply with the CITES requirements of being located at least 3,000 feet from a public or private school, church, or daycare existing before the date of the cultivation facility application pursuant to the Arkansas Medical Marijuana Amendment of 2016. And 9, ability to comply with all laws and regulations regarding the operation of a medical marijuana cultivation facility.
On that 3,000 feet, how do you define that 3,000 feet? Because ABCs, haven't they had different ways of defining distances?
Well, not necessarily. The law was clarified in the last session that it's property line to property line, based on the school's property line, and then it would be the cultivation's property line. Same with churches. It's churches and any adjacent property used for church purposes. So if you wanted to clarify that to be measured from property line, or ABC used prior to that clarification measured it building to building in a direct line. So, and it's still measured like a surveyor's line.
I mean, I can see where, to me personally, the 3,000 feet for the cultivation facility doesn't necessarily matter, because I guess I'm looking at it being a secure facility with no ads, and it doesn't even make sense that you really, I mean, if it was right next door to a school, maybe you don't want it because there's layers of barbed wire or something, I don't know, but it does seem like for the cultivation facility, it doesn't matter to me as much as the...
But I think that's in the amendment.
It's in the amendment, but I think how it, the problem I see with this is it's not really clear. Is it property line to property line?
Well, I think that, and as somebody who's litigated that, I would suggest adding that, clarifying it, what you want it to be. That's a good idea. So if you want it to be property line to property line, if you want it to mirror ABC's legislation, or if you want it to be nearest corner of building to nearest corner of building, that's worth doing to avoid
what if you did like, I mean, because I can see where you have that somebody wants to do it, or somebody's trying to find the building, and they're sitting here. I mean, I've seen church property that's big, and this, you know, you can have two abutting parcels, and then all of a sudden you've got a huge, you know, the buildings aren't anywhere close to them, but you've got huge parcels. So, I mean, it seems like you could go center to building, or whatever, building to building.
Well, the way that it was measured in the past for ABC was nearest corner of building to nearest corner of building in a straight line.
Okay.
So if you were on Google Earth, you would put a point here, this closest corner here. Surveyors, the same thing. They make sure they're at the closest corner. They do a survey line to the next closest corner of the other establishment.
So like building to building we need to do then.
Yeah, I mean, I think that would probably be, I think whatever we do, I think we ought to define it.
So, well, let me get this a little deeper for you. So you say school. Do you mean the classroom? Do you mean the gymnasium? Do you mean the cafeteria? That's why they went to property line, because it was clearer that way. The church the same way. Is it the sanctuary, or is it the fellowship hall, or is it? So it becomes tenuous when you start trying to figure out where you're going to measure. Just to throw that out there.
Can you do the center point of both? Seems like you could figure that out.
Of the parcel?
Yeah, of the parcels.
So what's your argument against property line to property line? I'm missing.